There is a principle, even in Christianity sometimes, that we can actually be catfished by fake Christians. In fact, we can even be fake Christians ourselves sometimes. And we've got to be careful that we don't get catfished by folks who claim to be Christ followers, but are really something else. So we got to be on guard of folks who are egocentric and selfish. Now, all of us are in process, and we're moving from glory to glory. We're growing, we're being sanctified, and even in our own self, we have our own egocentric nature and selfishness. But unless we're aware of that and understand that God needs to work it out, then we are deceived. And we've got to be careful to be around folks and let folks have a great voice in our life that are destructive. And also be careful that these things don't grow and lead us, because we will then be destructive. We must beware of being deceived. You must beware of folks on the radio and on television who, and in our lives or on social media, who are saying things that are false, that have the idea and the formation of gifts, but don't actually give them. What do these people do? What does fake Christianity promise? It promises liberty, but it enslaves us. It promises prosperity, but it impoverishes us. It promises refreshment, but it leaves the followers parched. It promises life, but brings death. That's what deception does. That's what fake Christianity does. That's what false teaching does. That's what happens when you get catfished, when you get bought into an idea of living a life of whatever moral compass you think is okay. So how do we identify those who are dead, who are not living in the new life? Well, there's no fruit of character. These individuals are selfish and greedy and angry and slanderous and not generous and led by emotions and dark and angry and prideful. They are liars and deceptive and manipulative and gossipers. They celebrate confusion and murder. They plot evil, and they're skeptical about God moving. This is how we identify when someone says they're in Christ, but there are these other character traits that are really of death. When you find yourself isolating and disconnecting because of the groupings of people you are around, you might be around some Christian catfish. You might be around too much death. Now, is there a difference between having alone time and being isolated? Absolutely. Is there a difference between pulling back and seeking God for a season and not hanging out every Friday night? Absolutely. But isolating, being angry, being disconnected, not being in relationship with people who love you, that's how you know you're being catfished. You're under the influence of something that is not the Spirit of God. If you can go through your whole week and not think about God, you might be closer to being a fake Christian than you think. If you can go through your whole week and you're not thinking about God, you're not sensing a sense of conviction or hunger for God, or there's just darkness and stone cold nature in your heart. You're constantly bitter and angry, and there's no compassion. If you can go your whole week and not think about God, you might be closer to being a false Christian than you think. You might be under deception and under the doomed nature of a Christian catfish. So my encouragement for you today is to be aware. Don't be skeptical of people, but be aware of the characteristics of those who are fake Christians, of those who call themselves Christians but don't produce everlasting fruit, those who are catfish Christians or Christian catfish. And for you to go, okay, what in me has the potential to produce that sort of death? And that's not what I'm called to. I'm called to life and life abundantly. If you remain, you will be redeemed.